Shri Ranga रामचंद्र पाहि मां, राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, हरे पाहि मां। कृष्ण कृष्ण गोपाला, वासुदेव पाहि मां, कृष्ण कृष्ण गोपाला, वासुदेव पाहि मां। राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, हरे पाहि मां, राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, हरे पाहि मां। कृष्ण कृष्ण गोपाला, वासुदेव पाहि मां, कृष्ण कृष्ण गोपाला, वासुदेव पाहि हर हर गंगाधर, हर हर गंगाधर, नीलकंठ पाहि मां, राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, हरे पाहि मां, राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, हरे पाहि मां। हर हर गंगाधर, नीलकंठ पाहि मां, हर हर गंगाधर, नीलकंठ पाहि मां, राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, हरे पाहि मां, राम कृष्ण गोविंदा, हरे पाहि भजो सदा, हरि ओम, हरि ओम, भजो रे सदा, हरि गुण गाओ, हरि नाम गाओ, हरि गुण गाओ, हरि नाम गाओ। हरि Sorry, I got carried away in the bhajans, so I forgot to open the textbook. Now you all can unmute yourselves.
Hari Om, good morning.
Hari Om, good morning, sir.
Hari Om, everybody.
Let's start. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll start today's class with Ayush's question, which he posted on the WhatsApp group. So I think you all have access to that, but I'm going to read out the question nonetheless. Ayush, you good with that? Can we start with your question?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Boss's mouth.
Sorry, it was a long question, but I think the question, "What is the purpose of life?" is actually quite tempting for the seeker. It gives you an escape to reflect on your successes, failures, frustrations, joy in your everyday life. For a busy, hectic life of action, it is a much needed pause. But to what end, you ask? In doing so, you enter a reflective space, but it is a space of momentary inaction and sometimes slightly disconcerting, where you end up questioning your pursuits. I understand that this is perhaps a necessary journey and one that ought to be momentary, that the journey should take you through these troughs of doubt and uncertainty to something more permanent and liberating. But how do you remain upbeat and motivated through this journey? What do you suggest are the ways to deal with these phases of despondency that this question brings with it? What is life's ultimate goal?
Thank you for that question. I think it's a very deep question and very important question, because there's a lot of misconception about what this subject is supposed to be and is meant for. See, one of the primary texts of Vedanta, the Vedanta treatise that we're studying right now, one of the primary texts is the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita is all about one thing and one thing alone. What is the central theme of the Bhagavad Gita? Anyone?
Do your action.
Do your action. Act. Stop being despondent and confused and confounded. Also, stop being an armchair philosopher. The first words of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita are Ashochanan Vashochastvam Prajnavadamsha Bhashase. Gatasuna Gatasumsha Nanushocanti Pandita. You are talking words of wisdom. You're talking words of wisdom, and yet you grieve about things you're not supposed to grieve about. It can't go both ways. You can't be confused and confounded and despondent. That despondency comes from a place of ignorance. We're not blaming you for being confused. We're saying that if you have clarity of a wise person, you won't be grieved, you won't be confused, you won't be despondent. But that can't go hand in hand with the words of wisdom that you speak. So the subject of Vedanta is not interested in making you an armchair philosopher. See, you use the word a temporary stage of inaction. I agree with you. It brings you to a temporary stage of inaction. You have to, literally press the brakes. because you have to stop at the fuel station. You have to refuel yourself, and not only refuel yourself, you're also servicing yourself, right? But only to drive faster and better, to drive in the right direction. So if this inaction is more than temporary, then there's a problem. Then perhaps we haven't got the message of Vedanta, right? Vedanta provides us clarity of thought in no uncertain terms. What is the ultimate goal of life? The answer is very straightforward. It's difficult to pursue, but it's not a confusing answer. The answer is very, very straightforward. The purpose of the ultimate goal of human life is to attain what is called self-realization, moksha. How do you attain it? You attain it through meditation, to the depths of meditation in complete silence, in the elimination of all thoughts. When your mind is completely vacant, the self reveals itself. The entire philosophy of Vedanta can be spoken in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, then you ask, how do you proceed to that? Well, you proceed to that progressively, gradually. Right now, your mind is infested with too many desires. You have to control, regulate, moderate desires, eventually eliminate desires. That's a process. There's a science to that. The way you control, moderate, and regulate desires and eliminate desires is the 3 yogas: karma, bhakti, jnana. You do this consistently, conscientiously, in all aspects of your life. Over a period of time, the quality of your desires will improve, the quantity will fall. As the quantity of desires fall, you turn more introvert, you turn quieter, you turn more reflective, you turn more meditative. You become prepared for the seat of meditation. Through meditation, you attain the ultimate goal of human life. It's very clear. Now the question is, how do you execute that? How do you go about living the life of karma, bhakti, jnana? Right? How do you go ahead living the life of yoga? And there's another beautiful analogy that is given to us. You have to live like an actor on stage. How does an actor live on stage? An actor does the role perfectly. The beauty of an actor is that you can't distinguish between who the actor is and who the character they are playing. You forget the actor, you get completely immersed in the character. For anyone who's watching. But the actor who is executing the role of the character, they and the back of their mind know what their real identity is. And ultimately they understand they have to get off the stage. So as far as the world is concerned, and all your duties, actions, responsibilities, pursuits, your mind's desires, right? You have to channel them like an actor channels his abilities on stage. Say it beautifully. You should be playing the most important of roles. You should be doing the most magnificent of actions. See, this country has come, there was a tradition of Raja Rishis. Raja Rishis means Rajas who were Rishis. Raja is anyone who is a person of importance, a leader, someone who has a role to play in society. The Raja being the highest role, right? So you could be the leader in an organization, the leader in a society, in a community. A role you're playing. Such a person is infused with this knowledge. He's a Rishi. Because such people alone are able to execute these roles to the best of their abilities. See, I don't know if it is how much Mr. Narendra Modi spends on his personal grooming, how much the government of India spends on his personal grooming, but he's looking better with age. Mr. Barack Obama, he came as a very young, fresh looking person. In 8 years, you should have seen the transformation. There's something to be said about what is the philosophy that inspires them in their roles. Both are playing very important roles, right? So the purpose of this knowledge is to prepare you for this dual journey. One is the outward journey in the world, where you do all your actions. See, your at some point in this journey, very early in this journey, you have to realize, you have to learn to separate yourself from the mind, your own mind. Your mind has its desires, your mind has its wishes, your ambitions, whatever. And this journey doesn't take you away from that. You have to pursue them as well. You have to give them, their, it's called swadharma. You have to execute your swadharma, and you have to do it beautifully, right? But at the same time, your inner awareness is also parallelly on the inner journey. So you're living in two worlds almost, if I may say. But you come to master it. That's the whole purpose of this knowledge. So, long answer short, the idea is, yes, there will be a temporary inaction only to provide you clarity. If it is not providing you clarity, change your teacher. If this teacher is not providing you clarity, please find someone else. Huh? Because the idea is not to keep you in constant thought, oh, what is the purpose of life? I hope you don't wake up every morning thinking about what is the purpose of life. We're asking you to think about it once. Think about it once and gain that clarity. Okay, twice. Maybe there'll be a confusion thrice. Think about it thrice. But don't wake up every morning thinking, what's my purpose in life? At least I don't wake up every morning thinking, what's my purpose in life? That question ought to be answered and give you a direction. Maybe at least for some time. You ask this question every couple of years. The importance is that you ask it. You ask it sincerely, and you come to a reasonable understanding. At least to give you like a, it's like a milestone, right? From here to Jaipur, you want to go, you have to catch the Bombay Expressway, right? After some point, you have to make another choice. Okay, do I go left for Bombay? Do I go right for Jaipur? Right? But this milestone in Delhi, in Gurgaon, is taking you another 100 kilometers. Take that route. After 100 kilometers, ask the question again. Every moment in the highway, you don't stop. Where am I going? Where am I supposed to go? Where am I supposed to go? Right? These answers are meant to take you some distance. Does that answer your question? In fact, if you understand Vedanta right, it helps you deal with these troughs and the crests beautifully, gracefully. Because there will be, whether or not you are in this study, there will be crests in your life, there will be troughs in your life. The question is how to deal with them gracefully. How to not get carried away in the crests, how to not sink into despondency through the troughs. Because crests and troughs there will be in everyone's life. Okay. From the known to the unknown, that's the last section we covered. Are you good, Ayush? Do you have any follow-up question? No? Okay. From the known to the unknown, that's the last section we studied. And I just want to spend a second. See, one of the things, especially in this book, is that it's very simple in its language. And that is by design. You might almost think you're reading a junior school textbook sometimes. The first time I read the Vedanta treatise, I almost felt it sounds very simple in its language. I don't know if you feel the same, but that's a very deliberate thing. It's a very deliberate thing because knowledge has to go from the known to the unknown. There's no point talking in very poetic terms, especially about this knowledge. As far as the purpose of this textbook is concerned, we're trying to convey very important concepts to you. And the author stays with that. He stays true to that. He doesn't want to become like the multitude of religious texts where things are being talked about and about. And you have to walk out of the same door you entered from. Quotes Umar Khayyam. They talked about, and I walked out of the same door I entered from. The hope is, the wish is that this textbook is able to convey or clarify at least some concepts to you, so that you enter from one door and leave from another door. You've actually made some progress. You don't have to feel like this is a waste of time. So, from the known to the unknown. Unfortunately, most religious education across all religions is just babbling about the unknown and fighting about it. All wars are fought in the name of religion. And that reminds us of, that makes us lament about the situation through this beautiful poem. It's called The Blind Men and the Elephant. The Blind Men and the Elephant. I think we were in the last paragraph.
In leading the blind, capacity to give up their pursuit of God. The ignorant believe that they know God. In their ignorance, they parrot their undigested concepts to the world. The present custodians of religion are like the blind leading the blind. They try to convey the concept of God out of their fanatic beliefs. They are like the 6 blind men who described an elephant in a poem by John Godfrey Saxon. These blind men wanted to know what an elephant was. They grouped and felt the different parts of the animal, arrived at different conclusions, that it was like a wall, a spear, snake, tree, fan, and rope. And each declared authoritatively his own opinion of the elephant. All of them were right from their limited viewpoint, yet all of them were fundamentally wrong. The poem
So he laments that the present state of religious education, spiritual education, is like the blind leading the blind. None of them quite know the entirety. They are sticking on to certain ideas, misinterpreting them, misunderstanding them. And as a result, you have different clans, different groups. Even within a religion, you have different sects, always constantly at war. But the rare person, the rare one, even wants to know the truth. Hardly nobody actually wants to get to the truth. All the non-essentials of religion have been highlighted, whereas the essentials have been completely lost. So that's reminding us of the poem, The Blind Men and the Elephant. I have a desire. I have a desire to elocute this myself, and anybody else would want to also read a couple of verses. So I'm going to start. Sorry, Swamiji. Swamiji has a recording of this, but I'm gonna chant it. I'm gonna elocute it myself. The Blind Men and the Elephant. It was 6 men of Hindustan, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. The 6 people, they went to see an elephant. What's important to notice, all of them were blind. There's irony out here. They went to see the elephant. He didn't say they went to touch the elephant, to feel the elephant, to hear the elephant. He says to see the elephant, though all of them were blind. He's marking the irony. Just as in all religious traditions, people try to convey the truth through scriptural knowledge. As we've told you before, God is not an object of perception. God is not an object of emotion. God is not an object of knowledge. In a sense, you cannot capture the idea of God through concepts and knowledge. It's a mystery. You cannot perceive God, you cannot feel God, you cannot conceive God. Even your intellect cannot conceive God. You can only realize God. That's why it's called realization. That's why it's called enlightenment. But the rare person, 1 in a million, less than that, 1 in 100 million is enlightened. The rest of them are just blindly following and misinterpreting scriptural injunctions. So they are like the blind men who went to see God through the scriptures. They are blind. So what happens? He says, the first person among the six men, the first approached the elephant, and happening to fall against the broad and sturdy side, at once began to bawl. God bless me, but the elephant is nothing but a wall. What happened? The first fellow, he went and hit against the side of the elephant, the big, broad body of the elephant. If you were blind and you hit against that, you would have imagined, what is it? It's like a wall. It's like a huge wall placed in front of me. Is he wrong? From his perspective, he's right. From his perspective, he's right. Is he right? I hope not. I hope none of you say he's right. In his limited understanding, he's okay. He's right. But when he takes his version of truth to be the entire elephant, that's when the problem starts. So from the body of an elephant is like a wall, yes, but the elephant is not a wall. But he says, God bless me, it's nothing but a wall. What happened to the second one? He says, the second, feeling of the tusk, cried, ho, what have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp, to me it's mighty clear. This wonder of an elephant is very like a spear. So the second fellow held the trunk. It's round, it's smooth, it's sharp. I don't know how it's sharp. Ask the poet. So he said, this elephant seems to me like a spear. It's long and smooth and sharp. Again, partially correct, but completely wrong. What happened to the third person? The third approached the animal, and happening to take the squirming trunk within his hands, thus boldly up and spake. I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a snake. So the other one looks at the trunk. The other one looks at the trunk, and he says, it's like a snake. It's squirming, it's winding. It's got that leathery texture to it. So the one holding the trunk of the animal says, it's like a snake. The elephant is like a snake. The fourth reached out his eager hand and felt about the knee. What most this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain, quoth he. 'Tis clear enough the elephant is very like a tree. The fourth one reached the leg, near the knee. Remember we talk about elephantitis? The person's thigh becoming like a trunk. It's literally like the elephant's leg is like it's thicker than most trees that grow in our vicinity. And he says, it's mighty plain, it's very clear. Look, I can feel it, I can see it. I cannot see it, I can feel it. It's very like a tree. The fifth who chanced to touch the ear, said, e'en the blindest man can tell what this resembles most, deny the fact who can. This marvel of an elephant is very like a fan. Look at the confidence. The fifth person who says, even the blindest person, a fellow doesn't understand. He's saying there might be people more blind than me. What does it mean, blindest person? Either you're blind or you're not blind. Even the blindest person can tell what this resembles most. Deny the fact who can. Who's there to deny it? Come on, challenge me. Challenge me. This scripture, this verse, this stanza says, challenge me. Adi Shankaracharya says, he laments at these Pandits. He says, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudha Mate. Oh Mudha. The story goes, Adi Shankaracharya is watching some Pandits argue over grammar. इसमें ये संधि होना चाहिए, इसमें ये नहीं होना चाहिए, ऐसे होना चाहिए, इसका ये, all sorts of. We're not saying that's not important. It has its place, but you get sucked into it. It's an endless pit. If you think money is an endless pit, if you think family is an endless pit, try knowledge. The world of academia is an endless pit where you'll probably find more ignorance than knowledge. So, to such vain pursuits, if you think the pursuit of money is vain, try knowledge. You might be surprised by me saying this. Money may be vain, the pursuit of knowledge is more vain. In the Ishavasi Upanishad says, person who is attached to materiality, a person who is attached to ignorance, to materiality, such a person is in darkness. Means they are ignorant, they are lost. A person who is attached to vidya, to knowledge, such a person is in deeper darkness. A person who is attached to materiality is in darkness. A person who is attached to knowledge, to information, such a person is in deeper darkness. Because they think they know. Deny who can. Deny the fact who can. Challenge me. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrin karane. Adi Shankaracharya says. All these things that you are so vain about, all these things you're so engrossed in, this grammar and these scriptures and this and that, these concepts, none of these will help you at the destined time. If you're interested in becoming an armchair philosopher, discussing about the purpose of life throughout your life, it's not going to help you. Ayush, we don't want to make armchair philosophers.
Uddhavji, should I say a few words on this elephant talk?
Omji, let's wait till the end of class.
Okay.
So, the fifth blind man is like a philosopher, classic philosopher. Even the blindest person can tell what this is. Challenge me, question me. This marvel of an elephant is very like a fan. He's looking at the ear and saying it's like a fan. And what happened to the sixth person? The sixth no sooner had begun about the beast to grope than seizing on the swinging tail that fell within his scope. I see, quoth he, the elephant is very like a rope. Sixth one, chancing upon something. The first thing they chanced upon is a rope, is the tail. The sixth one is a casual student of philosophy. The first YouTube video they saw, this is the truth. This is exactly what it is. 5-minute lecture they heard of some Swami. Yes, this is absolutely right. The first thing that fell within his scope, he's saying, the sixth, no sooner had begun about the beast to grope, meaning just as he began to grope the beast, whatever fell within his scope, the first thing that he caught hold of was the tail. And he said, yes, this is it. Yeah. Knowledge, this pursuit of knowledge, the idea is not to go in breadth. The idea is to go deep. Secondly, you cannot go to depth instantly. It takes time. So don't jump to conclusions. There'll be a first level of understanding. There'll be a second level of understanding. There'll be a third level of understanding. Knowledge ages like wine. Knowledge ages like wine. I'm not much of a wine connoisseur. I don't know what. But they say wine ages. So I'm just saying knowledge ages like wine. It develops, its complexity is revealed over time. Its subtlety is revealed over time. So don't be like this sixth person jumping to conclusions, developing fanatic beliefs. And so these men of Hindustan disputed loud and long. They went around disputing, discussing, arguing, fighting with each other, each in his own opinion, exceeding stiff and strong. Each had his opinion, and each became arrogant about it. The moment the ego is challenged, huh? The moment the ego is challenged, what's the first tendency of the ego? It forgets what it is arguing. It tries to justify it. You lose objectivity. The moment we challenge you, the rare person is able to maintain objectivity and analyze their own argument objectively. It becomes more about justifying. And you try to make silly arguments, or you try to lie. One lie to cover another lie, to cover a third lie. Exceedingly stiff and strong. Though each was partly in the right, no doubt, from their own limited perspective, they were partly in the right. They were somewhat in the right direction, but all of them were wrong. None of them were completely right. So he compares this six blind men and the elephant. He compares this to the theological wars. So often theological wars, the disputants, rail on in utter ignorance of what each other mean. And most of religious education is just to confuse and mislead the masses, to become pawns. Most masses are just pawns. You know pawn? Who plays chess out here? The pawn is the first to get killed. इसको सूली पे चढ़ा दो. Easily compromised. Most religious education is not to provide clarity and wisdom and transformation. It's to mislead, confuse, and create pawns for your religious army. They rail on in utter ignorance of what each other mean, and prate about an elephant that none of them has seen. They keep on and on about God, which none of them have experienced, none of them have realized. The rare one. Buddha had realized God, not all the Buddhas that came after him. Christ had realized God. This is being recorded, so I shouldn't say anything. Shankaracharya had realized God. But how many of the Shankaracharyas after him? How many of the popes after who are leading have actually realized the truth? It's questionable. We're not saying none of them have. We're saying it's questionable. Who has actually experienced it? Who has realized it? Who has realized the truth? They go on and on and on about the non-essentials. So he's lamenting. This is the state of religious education. We are here to reset it. We are here to give it a fresh approach, a fresh new start, going from the known to the unknown. We'll take small steps, we'll take baby steps, and we'll understand one thing at a time. So with that thought, he begins. Not the next section. He'll give a little bit of a commentary on this after the
blind man is will, which was partly in the right, as seen John Godfrey Saxon. Vedanta gives no such names to God as these blind men did to the elephant. Its approach to God is methodical. It systematically bridges the gulf between you and God. It provides you the philosophy to study, contemplate, assimilate, and apply it in your life for you to evolve spiritually and reach the ultimate state of self-realization, God realization. The Supreme Godhead lies within you. It is your original nature. Your ignorance wields your Supreme Self. Vedanta gives you the knowledge to discover yourself. It is an exercise akin to medical treatment. When a disease seizes your body, you lose your original health. You consult a doctor. The doctor prescribes medicine to eradicate the disease. When the disease is removed, you regain your health. Health is your original state. The doctor cannot give you health. He can only remove ill health. So too, the self is your original being. Ignorance is the disease. The knowledge of Vedanta removes ignorance to restore yourself to yourself. Vedanta only serves as a pointer indicating God. Terrestrial knowledge, however subtle, cannot take you directly to the transcendental reality. It is not possible to capture God with words, feelings, or thoughts. God is infinite. Finite efforts cannot achieve the infinite. Nevertheless, one cannot reach God without this knowledge. Knowledge can take you only to the subtlest terrestrial experience. Thereafter, you will have to experience the reality subjectively.
So, very important point he's making. Knowledge is a pointer, it's an indicator. It's like the milestone on a highway, which is showing you the direction, which is assuring you that you're in the right direction. Knowledge is not the destination. The verses of the Gita, the verses of any scriptural text, this knowledge, these words are not the truth. They help you proceed to the truth. The truth is not something you can know intellectually. The truth is not something you can feel with your mind or perceive with your senses. It's something you have to realize. You cannot know God through your senses, through your mind, or your intellect. You have to realize God. And Vedanta, this entire body of knowledge, serves as a pointer, a guide. It serves as medicine to remove disease. It fights the disease. The knowledge of Vedanta fights the diseases of your mind, the attachments, the ignorance, the modifications of desire, the ego. That's what it fights. And removing these diseases, you regain true health. You regain spiritual consciousness. It's very important to make this distinction. The role of knowledge in the journey. If knowledge doesn't help you proceed towards a subjective experience, then that knowledge is useless. If you keep this knowledge only in the textbooks to parrot to others, then it's useless. Unless this knowledge actually comes and immerses itself into you and influences the way you act, the way you feel, the way you conduct yourself, the way you deal with others, this knowledge is useless. Objective knowledge ought to bring out subjective change. Otherwise, the knowledge is useless. Either the knowledge is useless or you are not making use of it. I'll take my words back. The knowledge is not useless. You are not making use of it, the correct use of it.
The moon branch analogy aptly illustrates this truth. It is known in Sanskrit as Chandra Shakanyaya. The analogy explains how the moon can be pointed out with the help of a branch of a tree. Sometimes you see the crescent moon in the bright sunlit sky. It appears no more than an arc of a circle. In the wide expanse of the sky, we find it difficult to point it out to another person. Is unable to spot it in the glare of sunlight. Besides, there is nothing else in the sky with reference to which you may point it out. The analogy gives a practical way of doing it. You first point out to a particular tree in the meadow, then to its trunk, a branch, and to the tip of the branch. Let him follow the line of vision up to the tip. Thereafter, ask him to gaze at the sky far beyond the tip of the branch. The moon suddenly appears to him. The unknown moon is now known. You will appreciate that none of these aids has anything to do with the moon. The tree, trunk, branch, or tip is not the moon. The moon is far beyond them all. Yet, without these pointers, he could have never located the moon. These are essential aids to find it. But if he sticks to these aids and not go beyond them, he will never succeed in locating the moon. So it is with realization of your Supreme Self. Vedanta provides all the knowledge necessary to reach your Godhead. Its philosophy is meticulous. It takes you from your present state to the point of perfection, short of self-realization. Vedanta, or for that matter, any knowledge, cannot take you beyond that point. You should not get involved in this knowledge and remain there. It is like fixing your attention on the branch and not going beyond it. Hence, be not content with mere knowledge. No doubt you need the knowledge, but make good use of it and go beyond it. Vedantic knowledge will purify your mind, make your mind contemplative, meditative. Plunge the purified mind into the silence of meditation. You will then discover yourself within. Therefore, to realize the unknown God, you will have to proceed from the known world, study and analyze the world. Make full use of it to explore the realm of the unknown. Composition.
So we'll conclude with this. He's reiterating what is the importance and the role of knowledge and the limitation of knowledge also. Learn this metaphor he gives, Chandra Shakha Nyaya, the analogy of the moon and the branch moon analogy. The role of knowledge is to guide you like the branch guides you in locating the moon. Imagine it's a clear sky during the day. Sometimes what happens, even when the sun is out, the moon appears. And because there's so much of light, the moon is almost invisible. And there are no clouds, so you can't really locate it easily because there's no reference in the sky. Imagine a situation like that. So it's difficult to perceive the moon. That's akin to spiritual knowledge. It's difficult to find God. It's difficult to understand what is God, realize God. But you use the knowledge of Vedanta or any other scripture for that matter to reach that moon. So imagine there's a cloudless sky and a moon, the crescent moon, that even a crescent moon is appearing. Crescent moon means just that small slice of it, not the full moon. And I tell you, hey, look, the moon in the sky. You're like, what moon? I don't see a moon. I said, look there, look there. Where are you pointing? I don't understand where you're pointing. Okay, wait. I'm going to help you. You see the tree in front of you? You say, yes, I see the tree. Just follow the trunk and you see that main branch that's branching off the main trunk, the big voluminous one. Okay, yes. And you see that funny little flower out there at the tip of the branch? Yes, I see it. Just look beyond that. And you say, oh, yeah. I see the moon now. The philosophical part of this is that you have to shift your focus from the tree you're looking at to the background. You have to shift your focus. Unless and until you shift your focus, you won't be able to see it. You won't be able to see the moon. So the branch, the tree, everything was used to help you locate the moon. The branch, the tree had nothing to do with the moon per se. It was a useful locator. Similarly, all the scriptures, all the knowledge, all the symbolisms of the Devi Devtas, they are all indicative. They are like the branches you use in locating what is God and understanding and realizing what is God. But ultimately, you have to have that shift in focus. What is that shift in focus? You go from outer perception to inner perception. That's the symbolism of Dhruva. You know Dhruva? The story of Dhruva?
Dhruv star.
He wasn't satisfied. The Lord came outside him. He said, Dhruva, I have granted all your prayers and wishes. You are such an ardent devotee. I have appeared in front of you. Dhruva refused to stop his meditation. He said, no, you don't come outside, you come inside. Don't come outside, come inside. He's telling the Lord, come inside. Means what? I am no longer satisfied with outer knowledge, outer experience. I want the inner realization. That's the beauty of Dhruva. So Vedanta is like the branch. It's all the outer knowledge which will help you in the inner realization. What is important is the inner realization. And the beauty of this knowledge is it gives various paths. For the predominantly intellectual, it has the path of jnanam. For the predominantly emotional, it has the path of bhakti. For one who is balanced in both, it has the journey of karma. It gives you a combination of all of these three. For those who need a waking up, it has the path of hatha. So all these various paths of yoga, they all merge to the same journey. You have to follow all of them based on your personality. But ultimately, it takes you short of realization. He says, Vedanta gives you all the knowledge to reach your Godhead. It takes you from where you are, your present state, to the point of perfection, short of self-realization, short of enlightenment. So use this knowledge. Use this knowledge. Pardon this example. I'm already excusing myself because I still feel uncomfortable giving it, but it's an incredible example. Someone asked Swamiji, what is the role of a guru? What is the role of knowledge? He said it's like toilet paper. It's like toilet paper. Use it to clean your mess. You've made a mess of yourself. Your mind is a mess, infested with attachment and ego and desires and its modifications. You made a khichdi. Clean it. Just like toilet paper is used to clean the mess. What do? You also flush down the toilet paper. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, what is the use of the Vedas? What is the use of the Vedas? He says. For one who is realized, for one who is enlightened, the use of the Vedas is like the use of a well where there is a flood. For someone who is enlightened, for someone who is realized, the use of the Vedas is like the role of a well where there is a flood. It's useless. There's no point. The well serves no purpose. So for someone who is enlightened, knowledge serves no purpose. Knowledge is helping you to lift yourself from where you are, to clean your mess. Ultimately, you reach a stage where you have to go beyond knowledge itself. So keep this at the back of your mind. That doesn't mean knowledge is useless. It's very, very important to lift you from where you are. But don't become stuck in it. You should not get involved in this knowledge and remain here. You should not get confused, arguing with each other about unnecessary things. In this scripture it is said like that, in this scripture it is said like that, my religion says this, your religion says that. Half-baked, useless understanding. Half-baked. If you brought the founders of all the religions to a coffee table, they'd be having a great laugh, they'd be enjoying themselves. Those of us who have a half-baked understanding fight with each other unnecessarily because we're stuck and involved with mere information. It's like fixing your attention on the branch and not going beyond it, he says. So use the knowledge for what it's worth. With that attitude, he begins the next section, the known, the world that we see and perceive. It's important to analyze it. So it's important to study and analyze the world and to make full use of it, to explore the unknown. That is the Spirit, God. With that thought, we'll conclude today and we'll take up some questions. So first we'll take up questions. Thereafter, if anyone has something to say or something to add, please. But first I will take up questions because otherwise people tend to leave and I want to give them the opportunity to ask whatever they want to ask.
Sir, I have a question.
Mhm.
So, repeatedly you're saying that you have to use knowledge in order to uplift yourself or evolve yourself. So, but like suppose you're using the same one knowledge, like any piece of knowledge, when you start using it, don't we start using it better? Like every time you use the same piece of knowledge, you use it once, you use it second time, the third time, but as we keep on using the same knowledge, don't we use it better and better, the same knowledge?
Yes. So
Like,
we say you refine your understanding, right? You refine your understanding with experience, with each application of it. So दिल्ली अभी दूर है, right? दिल्ली अभी दूर है. Knowledge will take you till the border of Delhi. So let's reach there with knowledge, and each application of it refines us. He's only pointing out that don't get unnecessarily involved in it. Otherwise, you'll be like the blind man hugging one part of the elephant. The idea is to constantly question and refine your own understanding. If you have that attitude, then only will you get better with each application. Otherwise, you'll stick to your belief and you won't grow. The first time you read and understand something, you think you know. It's very important to challenge it. It's very important it gets challenged. It's very important you ask me questions. Trust me, you're doing me the service because I have to clarify what I mean, what I am saying. Right? It helps. So if someone asks you question, if someone questions you, don't take it in the spirit of them challenging you. Take it with a in the right spirit. It helps refine your own understanding. See, if the test of knowledge, right, is your ability to explain it simply. The test of your own understanding. The test of your own understanding of something, the better and the deeper your understanding of anything, not only scriptural knowledge, not only spiritual knowledge. The test of your understanding is your ability to say it simply. For those of you who are inclined, invest through the course of the study, invest in writing your own summaries of sections. Whatever chapter we've covered the first chapter, try to summarize it in your own words. The chapter is 10 pages long, 15 pages long, try to write it in 2 pages. That exercise itself is very challenging. You'll be confused. Should I copy? Should I just copy what is? See what happens in school when we're told to do comprehension. What do? We simply try to copy what is written in the original text. But the test of your understanding is your ability to put it in your own words beautifully, simply, and that only happens when you're open to questioning, when you're open to be challenged. Further questions?
Thank you.
Anubhav, yes.
Yeah, thank you for that answer also. I had sort of a similar question. So clearly we are being encouraged to seek out the unknown, right?
Yes.
Even with the elephant, we are seeing that you're asking some blind men to seek out a huge elephant which they haven't seen or perceived, right? Um, but seeking the unknown is daunting. It's very overwhelming. It is
Yes.
very scary, right? It requires a teacher. Um, and it can even be disappointing to some when they actually start finding it, right? Like start working towards it or something. Now, in that, okay, I don't know how best to put it, but it seems a bit preachy that, just you need to seek it out. You can't be ignorant your whole life. You can't just stop. So, my only worry is how do we deal with this idea of unknown, which is of course very, very huge, which you haven't seen. There is a lot which pulls you away from it, you know. And in some ways, how do you keep? I think in some ways it is similar to Ayush's question also. How do you keep yourself motivated? But I think there's more than motivation that you need in this journey. Uh, because just saying seek out the unknown, it's quite a yeah, it's looks very, very huge. So I don't know if I got the question correct, but I'm just saying that my main question is, I think you can ask someone to seek out the unknown, but you need to also get into their heads how different they are perceiving the task.
Okay, so there are 2 layers to this question. I'll answer the first and the more, and actually the second thing you hinted at was it almost sounds preachy, and there's a reason why we don't play this out in a loudspeaker, right? Personally, I will never speak about this knowledge unless asked. You meet me at a party, I won't be talking about Vedanta. I'll be very happy if you want to talk about Vedanta. That's a different thing altogether. Huh? Knowledge is taken, it's not given. The student takes the knowledge, the teacher never gives the knowledge. So the fact that there is something to be known, something to be discovered, some searching to be done, that inquiry has to come from the end of the student, not the teacher. So yes, if you go around and um, put it on loudspeaker, yes, it is certainly indeed preachy, but we don't do that. Right? You all have come here. That's why I'm speaking. Otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking this. That's number one. That doesn't take away from the fact that there is something to be sought. That's why you all are here. That's why we are here. That's why I am here in this journey. There is something to be sought, right? We try to give that seeking a direction, a definite we make it less haphazard. Otherwise, the seeking can be, today you're seeking this, tomorrow you're seeking that. You're going on all directions, but you're not moving anywhere, right? So the idea of this journey is to give it a direction, right? Somewhat definitive. And in that definitive direction also, a lot of the fears and a lot of the worries and a lot of the dauntingness is actually mitigated, right? Because if you are searching without a direction, if you're searching without guidance, if you're searching without reassurance, then it can be very daunting. If you're searching without a guide, without a guru, it can be very daunting, no doubt. The first time you read this knowledge and it actually pinches you, it can be extremely scary, right? But that's why the scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita keeps telling us, Shanai, Shanai, slowly, slowly, gradually. Nobody's asking you to change everything about your life overnight. Nobody's asking you to shift from what you're doing. We're asking for gradual changes you bring about in your worldview, in your approach to your everyday things. The beauty of this knowledge is that it starts from where you are. It doesn't ask you to reach somewhere which is incomprehensible to you. From where you are, your daily life, your current involvements, how do you give it that spiritual direction, that direction of the unknown, right? So in making this process organized, in making this process, in streamlining it, it helps mitigate a lot of the fear and the confusion and the how daunting it can be, because it can be daunting. I agree, right? That said, there's a technique to it. The technique is first to mesmerize. See, chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita is perhaps the most philosophical. Everything flows above Arjuna's head. He doesn't understand anything. Nothing he understands. But it's the most philosophical. You may question, if the knowledge is supposed to meet you where you are, shouldn't chapter 2 itself be very simple? Should chapter 2 itself be very, shouldn't it handhold you step by step? But the technique is first to draw your attention. First to get you inquisitive about, oh my God, there is something I don't know. Yes, don't worry, we will guide you through it. But to first captivate you, we give you all of it at once. It's like throwing all the beads at once, and you're mesmerized by everything that's around you. Then you pick up one bead at a time. So chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita starts sequentially, Karma Yoga, step by step. Chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. So yes, first of all, we're not interested to preach, but you having come here, the technique is first give it all out. Capture your attention, make you curious, make you interested. Thereafter, you realize nobody will have to tell you. You yourself will realize it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. You yourself will realize. First 3 months in the Vedanta Academy or any course you undertake, everybody feels like a Vivekananda. I'm here to transform the world. I have realized the knowledge. I have understood it. Because you've been given all of it in the first go, right? It's you truly feel elevated. You're like, this world, there's no point, nothing in it. Neti. But then you slowly realize that your own personality, your own vasanas catch up with you. It's a marathon. So the knowledge also helps you step by step. Does that answer your all facets of your question? Any further questions? Omji, you had a point. You wanted to share something.
Thank you, Udalji. I'm sorry if I'm saying something like this. I am also a student of knowledge, and I want to seek as much knowledge as much possible. If I say something, it is not to express my knowledge. It's not that. Sometimes it is a validation also. But anyway, today's subject is knowledge, known and known to unknown, isn't it? Now, you have also used certain words also. I'm giving, my feeling on that. First thing is, this knowledge is an ultimate wealth. It is said in Sanskrit also, because knowledge, wealth, we are normally, we always seek wealth. Seek means we value the wealth the most, the wealth. So here the anomaly is used. Here the simile is used only to prove that the best wealth is knowledge. Knowledge which you acquire on whatever way you acquire. This is one thing. Now, another thing is that
Can I take your example a little further?
you see,
Can
we
I,
are
can I extend your example? I'll
known,
extend your example.
known to unknown, we are saying.
Hmm.
Most of the preachers, most of the people give a parable. When they give a parable, because we know that, supposing I say, what is iron? You know the qualities, the properties of the iron. So he is Iron Man. That means a very strong man. So a parable has been used here to prove that he is a very strong man. If you say he is a copper man, he is a lead man, then he is very, very malicious man and all that. So we know the quality of the parable which we tell, and then we qualify the whatever we want to say that, isn't it?
Indeed.
Now, another thing I just want to share, the story of elephant which you have used, no doubt. You see, it is a very profound story, and it is told many times. There is no doubt about it. But at the same time, I can laugh at it also. Why? Because who is giving an impression? Not a blind man. A man who can see. We are laughing at the blind people only because it is his own knowledge is only, he doesn't know even wall also. He doesn't know what is wall. He doesn't know what is snake also. He doesn't know what is tree also because he has not seen. He has only heard from somebody trees like this. And then he is giving an explanation. So we have no reason to laugh at the blind man. But the parable is very good. Parable is very good because it gives, you see, भेड़ चाल जिसको बोलते हैं ना हम लोग, तो पूरी भेड़ चाल ही है. उसने बोल दिया ये ऐसे है वो ऐसे है, तो हम वैसे ही उसमें घुस जाते हैं विदाउट रीजनिंग. अपना रीजनिंग का भी यूज नहीं करते. और दो तीन चीजें आपने यूज की हैं कि वाइन के बारे में. इट इज अबाउट मैच्योरिटी. वाइन जो होती है, देखिए कहते पुरानी कहावत है कि घर में ओल्ड वाइन, ओल्ड चावल और ओल्ड लेडी भी होनी चाहिए. ओल्ड लेडी का मतलब होता है कि मैच्योरिटी, बिकॉज शी हैज एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ ऑल द लाइफ, एंड देन ही गिव्स द करेक्ट एडवाइस एट द करेक्ट टाइम. सो ये पैरेबल है, इट इज बीइंग यूज्ड मेनी टाइम्स. और एक चीज आपने बड़ी अच्छी यूज की है, पॉन, जो प्यादा होता है जो चेस में. आपको मालूम है कि हिंदू और पाकिस्तान वॉर में कितने प्यादे मर गए हैं, कितने सोल्जर मर गए हैं? 82,250 soldiers have died in a conflict of Kashmir and this and that. खाली बकवास में. ये क्या है? इसके लिए लड़ रहे हैं. दो अब जो वार चल रही है रशिया में वो तो छोड़िए, अब हिंदुस्तान में ही देखिए 80,000 हमारे सोल्जर मर चुके हुए हैं और सोल्जर मर रहे हैं, लेकिन कोई लीडर तो नहीं मरा उसमें। कोई
चलिए,
लीडर
thank you for your thoughts, Omji, and certainly your validations as well. You know, and
बट अल्टीमेटली नॉलेज इज द अल्टीमेट वेल्थ, ये तो कोई इस पे कोई शक नहीं है।
so I'm reminded of a few things that from what you have said, which I'll share in the next class. Because
Okay.
ये बहुत हो गया, but thank you.
Sorry if I have disturbed anyone, I'm sorry for that.
No, sir. I only don't want to break the flow of thought. That's my only.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Any further questions? Any further thoughts you would like to share? If not, we'll conclude.
Can you hear me?
Anji, yes, Anil ji, how are you?
हाँ, मैं एक चीज पूछना चाह रहा था कि हम ये कैसे मान लें कि जो भी नाम हम सुनते आ रहे हैं, महात्मा बुद्धा हैं या रमन्ना महर्षि हैं, ये सब रियलाइज थे।
आप नहीं जान सकते।
तो
आप नहीं जान सकते।
तो दुनिया क्यों कहती है कि वो लोग रियलाइज थे? अब
जो उनके
स्वामी
साथ रहे
पार्थसारथी
हैं,
रियलाइज नहीं है,
जो
ये
उनके
कैसे हम माने?
देखिए, ये मानने की बात ही नहीं है। दैट्स द होल पॉइंट। बिकॉज हम मानने या ना मानने में, गुरु जितना भी रियलाइज हो, उनकी रियलाइज या ना रियलाइजेशन होने से आपका कुछ नहीं होगा, आपका बेड़ा पार नहीं होगा। You can be with the greatest of gurus and still fall short. You can be without a guru and still realize. It's not easy, but it's possible. Point being, and this comes back to the point that Omji made, that we shouldn't laugh at the blind man, because we don't even know the wall, we don't even know the tail, we don't even know anything. Idea is, any student of knowledge should not look at the personality of the teacher or the qualification of the teacher. Any student of knowledge should not look at the personality. ऐसा नहीं है कि ज़्यादा qualify होने से हमें ज़्यादा knowledge मिलेगी. A student of knowledge is only seeking knowledge. Doesn't matter where it comes from. And whatever the knowledge they take, they don't accept it just because it's come from a realized person. They don't reject it just because it's come from someone who the world doesn't regard as realized. They take the knowledge independently for its own merit. They put
I say only one phrase: जात न पूछो साधु की, ले लीजिए ज्ञान।
जात न पूछो साधु की, पूछ
ले लीजिए ज्ञान।
मोल करो तलवार का, पड़े रहने दो म्यान. So judge the knowledge, not who it's coming from. When you do that, then it won't matter whether the master was realized or not. See, the bhakt in us, the devotee in us, looks at a great master and says, they must have been realized. When you read about the life of Ramana Maharishi, when you read about the life of such gurus, you realize, oh my God, I don't know whether they were realized or not realized. I don't know, but at least they were in some state of consciousness which I cannot comprehend. Whatever it was. So that is there. The role of that bhakti is to create a sense of awe. That's about it. But when it comes to knowledge, don't accept it just because this person said it. Don't reject it just because this person said it. Take it on its own merit. If it fits with your reason, if you are able to make sense of it, accept it. If you're not able to make sense of it, park it. Park it. I say park it. I don't say reject it. I say park it. Maybe it'll make sense later. Park it. So don't look at there's a lot to learn even from the blind men. आप blind men की बातें सुनोगे, आपको भी contextual knowledge आ जाएगा. Listen to everyone, have that open ear, give an ear to all, says Shakespeare.
Can I say something on this?
Yes, Sunita ji.
Yeah. Actually, when you started the text and you brought Swamiji's voice, oh, that gave me goosebumps. I can't tell you.
Hmm.
Because even hearing the realized person, I don't know if somebody thinks him realized or not. I don't know. Even hearing him, or even thinking of him, gives us a sense of something we relate to it. तो डेफिनेटली ये तो बड़े लोगों ने जो बोला है कि ये रियलाइज थे या नहीं रियलाइज थे, या जो भी उन्होंने कोई पदवी दी किसी को, but we can feel the people who are like beyond us or who are above us or who are, you can feel it. Even in their presence, you can feel it that they are like, they're something different from you.
Certainly, it invokes certain emotions,
Yeah.
certain inspirations. But Anilji, I'll just say one more thing. The funny thing is that forget realization in any achievement, in any field of life, people are not recognized while they are living. Rarely are people recognized for their achievements while they are living. The greatness of most people is only realized once they are gone. So yes, sir, it's a useless question to ask.
तो हम अंदाजा ही लगा सकते हैं, तो हम ये कह सकते हैं कि स्वामी पार्थसारथी रियलाइज्ड है.
Swami Parthasarathi realized है. Ab, my answer is the same. Nobody sitting outside can tell. Swamiji himself will say, there's no point in you asking me this question.
अब जो
If you spend
महात्मा
some
बुद्ध,
time, if you spend some time around him, you may make certain inferences, intelligent inferences. But my purpose is, see, as someone who has been close to him, it gives me a sense of reassurance that here is a person for whom this knowledge is speaking through his own experience. These words are not just mere words, they're speaking through his own experience, his own enlightenment at whatever level that be, right? तो वो मुझे एक साधक के हिसाब से एक कॉन्फिडेंस देता है कि यार मुझे इस बात को सोच समझ के अपने जीवन में अंगीकार करनी चाहिए, बिकॉज एक दूसरे के अनुभव
उसमें कोई डेप्थ, उसका डेप्थ, उसमें डेप्थ है.
बट अब किसी और को लगेगा उनके गुरु भी रियलाइज हैं, किसी और को लगेगा इस्कॉन को लगेगा प्रभुपाद जी रियलाइज थे, इनको लगेगा सदगुरु रियलाइज है. सब अब ये भावुक बातें हैं, ये मतलब इट्स दे हैव नो कॉन्सिक्वेंस. दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. एज अ स्टूडेंट of knowledge, it doesn't matter. You can learn a lot even from non-realized people. Doesn't matter.
सुनीता जी ने बिल्कुल ठीक बोला है. श्रद्धावान लभते ज्ञानम. उनको श्रद्धा है, उनकी आवाज में इतनी श्रद्धा है, देखिए. और उनको
नहीं सर, हमें तो उन्होंने इतना अट्रैक्ट किया था कि once I heard him in the Vicky auditorium, I couldn't stop following Vedant.
देखिए
I couldn't stop myself. Only once I heard him from
the channel has opened. The channel has opened. ये बात है, मेन चीज है. ये कोई जरूरी नहीं है कि भाई वो क्या है क्या नहीं है. ज्ञान आना शुरू हो गया है. ए चैनल has opened. That's all. हमारे कितने स्रोत हैं? बहुत स्रोत. कौन सा स्रोत खुल गया हमको क्या पता, लेकिन नॉलेज आनी शुरू हो गई है. कान से आए, आंख से आए, नाक से आए, मुंह से आए, कहां से आए, गॉड नोस, पर आनी शुरू हो गई है. मेरा यही विचार है, गलत भी हो सकता हूं.
चलिए, with that thought we'll conclude today. Thank you for your questions and thoughts. We'll see you again on Wednesday at 8 a.m.
Thank you.
Hari Om.